Have you ever Google searched your own company name and found a review that was written by somebody who has actually never been a customer of your business? Have you ever found yourself with a bad Yelp review and not sure of what to do? Have you ever noticed that your good reviews on Yelp don't seem to show up unless you're a paid advertiser? Well, on today's show, we interview the director and the producer of the award-winning documentary that has finally exposed Yelp for what it is, the $1 billion bully.
There's nothing you can do.
You created the monster, you need to contain the monster.
A kind of scarlet letter of the internet age.
Excuse me. Do you work for Yelp?
They're avoiding liability.
It just doesn't seem right.
Yelp salespeople call me 3 to 5 times a week.
They did not stop calling me and emailing me and calling me and emailing me.
I was harassed by Yelp.
Being exploited by Yelp.
Extorted by Yelp.
If the mafia had done what Yelp is doing, they'd be thriving in every county and every jurisdiction in the United States by doing it over the internet.
I never imagined Yelp would be the reason that I would close my business.
To me, it's mafia.
I have been extorted and harassed by Yelp.
We have been extorted by Yelp.
You give people so much of a sense of entitlement, there's going to be abuse.
Again, Yelp, the online review site, is buying and selling positive reviews.
I can manage people's search results. I can manage how they show up in all these places.
There's something here. And if it hasn't happened to you yet, it may.
Get ready to enter the Thrive Time Show.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get here. Started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom, now we here.
We started from the bottom, now we're on the top. Teaching you the systems to get what we got. Colton Dixon's on the hooks, I break down the books. Z's bringing some wisdom and the good looks. As the father of 5, that's why I'm alive. So if you see my wife and kids, please tell them hi. It's the CNC up on your radio. And now 3, 2, 1, here we go.
We started from the bottom, now we here. We started from the bottom and we'll show you how to get here.
Yes, 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 and yes. Thrive Nation, if you own a business and you've ever received an unfavorable Yelp review, but you found yourself unable to get your positive reviews to stick or to show up, today's show is the show for you. On today's show, we're interviewing the lady who created the documentary, The $1 Billion Bully. Kaylie, welcome on to the Thrive Time Show. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me on.
Hey, you, when you released this documentary, so many of our listeners were fired up about it because I don't think a lot of people recognize how difficult it is to get your positive reviews on Yelp to show up. And I think it's infinitely frustrating once you see that you have all these reviews, but the world will never see them. What motivated you, my friend, to deep dive into this project? I mean, what was your background and, what got you motivated to make this movie?
Well, I used to use Yelp often to find businesses, and I had no idea that there was this dark side to the company. And I was at my doctor's one day, and she asked me if I ever used Yelp, and I said, yeah. And I wasn't really a reviewer. I had probably left 7 or 8 reviews ever. But I said, yeah, I am. And she and I started talking about it, and I just started listening to what she was saying about the company, about how aggressive their salespeople are. And I said, oh yeah, I've heard they're kind of aggressive and annoying. And then she continued on, and just the things that she said didn't sound aggressive. It sounded illegal. And I thought, if what she is saying is true, how is this multi-billion-dollar corporation getting away with it? And I had no reason to doubt her, but it was coming from a business owner's perspective. So I went home and I just began researching it, and I found thousands and thousands of business owners all making these same claims. And I thought, okay, well, this is their perspective. What is Yelp's response? And I I started researching that, and I found that anytime anybody complains about Yelp, they jump to three things. They say there was an FTC investigation that was closed, court cases have all been dismissed, and there's a Harvard business study that shows we do nothing wrong. Those are the three things they always go to. So I started looking into it, and I read the Harvard business study, and as I read it, I thought, this cannot be the study that they're always referencing, because it doesn't make any of the claims that Yelp says it makes. And I went to Yelp's website, and sure enough, that's the study that they have linked. And I also found that they later paid the person who wrote that study, which is an unpublished paper, to do some other studies that were very pro-Yelp. So I thought, okay, this is a big smokescreen. If this is what Yelp's always going to, what else is happening here? And the more I looked into it, the more surprised I became and pretty disgusted with the company. And I was pretty annoyed that as a consumer I had been very misled, and I thought that it was information that people should hear.
Well, you know, I really am excited to have you share this story with so many people. But for people who out there right now who immediately want to go see this documentary, where can they watch your $1 billion bully Yelp documentary? Where can they find it right now?
They can rent or download it on Amazon or iTunes or YouTube, Vimeo. Those are the big ones.
Now, right now, I have two examples I want all the listeners to check out. If you do a Google search right now, all the listeners, for Elephant in the Room and the word Yelp. So Elephant in the Room, Tulsa, and the word Yelp. You're going to find our reviews for one of my companies on Yelp called Elephant in the Room. And right now, we have, Kaylie, a score overall on Yelp of 3.5 stars. Okay, so we have 37 reviews and 3.5 stars. And at the bottom, it shows that I have 74 reviews that are not recommended that won't show up. And the vast majority of the ones that won't show up are 5-star reviews. Can you explain why the reviews at the bottom, what that means when it says 74 reviews are not recommended? What does that mean?
So those are all reviews that are hidden, and if you're using your phone to look, if you don't have their app downloaded, then you aren't going to be able to see them. And those reviews are all filtered so they don't factor into your overall star rating. So if all 74 of those reviews are 5-star reviews, it's not going to increase your rating at all. And it's just harder for people to go see. So it's there, people can see it, but you usually as a consumer don't take the time to go through that.
So like Kolaw Fitness is another great client I've worked with for a long time. These guys have gyms in Topeka and Joplin, Missouri, and Bartlesville. And they have a score ranking right now of 2.5 stars. And they have a total of 9 reviews that have shown up. And then they have, let's see here, 23 that are not showing up, almost all of which are positive. What could they do to make those reviews show up?
Well, if you talk to a Yelp salesperson, they'll say pay for advertising, and that's going to help you increase your rating on Yelp. So you can do that. I wouldn't personally give advice on bringing that up because I'm more in the party of just don't use Yelp. It's a bad company with bad morals, and so I would just, I know that that's not practical for all business owners.
Sure, yeah.
But I also don't want to I don't want to be Yelp's mouthpiece to tell you how to.
Well, I bring this up because I remember years ago there was a local magazine that called me and said, Clay Clark, you've been nominated for this award, for the top entrepreneurs or something in Tulsa, However, we find that advertisers in the magazine typically win because it's about who gets the most votes, and we've never had somebody win who doesn't get the most, who doesn't advertise. So I thought, okay, well, I don't really want to advertise in your magazine, but okay, I'll do it. I was like 22, 23, whatever, and I did it, and lo and behold, Kaylie, I won the award. It was like a 40 under 40 award or something. Then the next year, I didn't advertised, but I had a ton of people nominate me because our business was actually significantly bigger, and I didn't win. And I went back to the ad rep and I said, did I not win because I don't advertise? And she goes, no, we've just have never had somebody who doesn't advertise win. And with my clients, I've never had a client ever get their positive reviews to show up unless they're paying a ton of money to Yelp. I mean, like $500 a month, $600 a month. How much money does somebody have to pay to Yelp to get the positive reviews to show up?
Usually it costs anywhere between $350 to $2,000 a month. It's pretty crazy. And most small businesses, that's just not in their budget at all.
So do you think that Yelp has lost any credibility as a result of your film, or have you as Yelp taken shots at you and tried to take away your credibility?
Oh yes, I would say yes to both of those things. Yes, I think they have lost credibility, and yes, they have taken shots to attempt to lessen my credibility. But really, I think that backfired. When I was working on raising funding for the film, I ran a Kickstarter campaign, and the day after I opened up the campaign, Yelp stock went down 4%, which was a $150 million hit. And instead of just keeping quiet, like that would have been in their best interest, was to not say anything, they started firing off shots saying, the director of this film has a history of trying to mislead the public. Well, this was my first film, and that just brought a lot more attention to the project, and it helped me out a great deal. So that was nice. But yeah, they've tried to just undermine who I am, what I was working on, and it backfired though, so I was happy.
Okay, so based upon your research, getting ready to create this film, could you fire off a line item list of a few of the things that you feel like that you have, because you interviewed, I mean, this movie, if you haven't seen it there, if you're out there today and you have not seen The $1 Billion Bully, you have to watch this because you actually sit down and interview all these different business owners who tell you how, I mean, this is not funny stuff. People, their entire livelihoods, I mean, their families, their income has been destroyed as a result of bad reviews on Yelp. I mean, could you share maybe some of the stories or kind of a summary of what kind of negative effects bad Yelp reviews were having on the lives of these business owners?
Well, when consumers don't know about this darker side to Yelp, they just take what they see online at face value, especially because when you do any kind of online search for a business, Yelp's SEO is so strong that it's usually the first thing that pops up, even before a lot of businesses own websites. So even if a consumer isn't clicking on Yelp's site, they usually see that star rating before they learn anything else about the business. And if you've got a bad rating on the site, then you're most likely not going to go to that business. And people, they lose business very quickly because in our ability to do quick searches, they're not digging deeper there. And people have, one person lost a restaurant over it. In the film, you hear about this one guy who he owns a doggy daycare in New York, and he is still going through a pretty bad process right now, actually, with Yelp. But he lost significant business when he stopped advertising. He agreed to advertise, and then once he stopped, that was when he saw a lot of his reviews disappear, a bunch of negative ones appear. It really holds business owners captive.
Now, I pal around with a lot of business owners, so I don't hang around a whole lot of people that don't own companies just because of the nature of what I do. But I feel like a lot of people that I know just will not use Yelp anymore. They just don't use Yelp. Is there any research that shows if Yelp's usage has gone down or has it gone up? Or talk to me about that.
I would look at their stock as somewhat of an indicator to that. I don't know what that research is directly, but I do know in casual conversations, people talk about Google reviews and Facebook reviews a whole lot more than they do Yelp reviews. And when you hear when you hear someone talking about Yelp, it's usually in a complaining kind of way, as the reviewer, people who use Yelp to write reviews are only going on there to complain, and that's what you generally see. So there was some podcast I was listening to where it was funny. They just brought up Yelp in casual conversation, said, "Oh, someone was actually happy on there once," and that's kind of the undertone there. I think is that Yelp is the place people go to complain.
Well, Yelp right now, the stock price was at a peak of $55 a share in January 2nd of 2015, and now today it's at $34. So I mean, it's taken it's been it's tanking. And I would be a big fan of it just going down to about $1 a share. That'd be awesome. But I just know so many people who've been ravaged by poor Yelp reviews that have been left by people that didn't even use the business, that didn't even buy a product from the company. How did you round up ex-Yelp employees, or were you able to interview ex-Yelp employees to get some of your research done?
It was extremely challenging because when you leave Yelp, you sign an NDA. And a lot of people were very concerned about that. I spoke to several Yelp employees, former Yelp employees, by phone or in person that just would not go on camera. And so that was very hard. In fact, one person, I had everything lined up. She lived out of state. She was coming out here to do the interview, and she was the few days leading up to it, she was getting really nervous, and said, "I'm going to have an attorney look over my NDA first." And then she said, "Oh, I'm just going to do it. I'm going to do it." And then she was at the airport and called me and said, I can't do it. I'm too afraid of getting sued." So that was really challenging to get people to go on camera because they can't go up monetarily against this multi-billion-dollar corporation.
That is true. Now, okay, so you were able to get some people that you interviewed, a lot of business owners. Was it hard to find business owners that were not happy with Yelp, or was the vast majority of the people that you interviewed, the people that I know, again, I'm just mentioning Koloff Fitness as an example. I mentioned my own company, Elephant in the Room, as an example. At the last conference we had in December, we had close to 300 business owners. I can't find any owners that are happy with Yelp and the Yelp reviews. And yet we're all happy with Google reviews because you can leave a bad review on Google or a positive one, but you can't be anonymous. The good reviews actually show up. I mean, were there a lot of business owners that were not happy with Yelp, or do you find that it's like 50-50, or what's your take on that?
Oh, I could not find business owners that were happy with Yelp. Some of them, there were a few people that would say, yeah, Yelp hasn't helped my business. And then you start talking to them, and then they start opening up, I guess, about how they really feel about the company. That happened over and over again, where they would say, "Oh, yeah, I always like to get feedback on what we're doing," and then as the conversation would progress, they would just get heated over it. I do know that there are some companies, at least I hear about some companies that are not bitter towards Yelp, that have helped them. But those companies are very few and very far between.
So what are you working on now? I mean, now that you've produced your first film, The $1 Billion Bully, what does the future hold for you, and what projects are you currently working on?
I am in very, very early stages for a new film about Wikipedia, but very different type of film. It's not an investigative piece the way $1 Billion Bully was. It's more of a feel-good piece, I guess, and that's fun. I have a co-producer that I'm working with on that.
Where do you live?
Where do I live?
Are you like in the West Coast or East Coast, or where's home for you?
Yeah, outside of San Francisco.
Okay, outside of San Francisco. So do you do documentaries for, if a business owner was listening to this and they wanted to hire you to do a documentary, or do you do that kind of thing, or what kind of do you do those kind of projects, or just these projects that you do that you then are releasing in terms of film, that kind of thing?
I'm always happy to speak with somebody if they have a great idea that they want to talk about, or if they I'm happy to speak with people about different projects. This Wikipedia one is more of a hobby piece, I suppose, for the co-producer myself. But yeah, I'm always happy to speak with people about any ideas they have.
So if people want to get a hold of you, what is the best way to do that? Should they send you mail towards the San Francisco area? Is there a website you want to direct people to? What's the main place for them to get in touch with you?
Well, my website is Prost, P-R-O-S-T, films.com. And I'm easily reachable through email, which is Kaylie, K-A-Y-L-I-E, at prostfilms.com.
Prostfilms.com. So let's talk about this. What was the most extreme example where a business was absolutely decimated as a result of Yelp that you found? Did you remember an extreme example where you went, oh my gosh, that is not a good thing?
Yes. Are you referring to what is seen in the movie or outside or either?
It could be outside. It could be whatever. I think our show is for entrepreneurs, so we have about 500,000 entrepreneurs that listen to the show. And every time I talk to an entrepreneur that has bad Yelp reviews, this is kind of how it goes, Kaylie. They go, Clay, here's the deal. And they kind of whisper. They go, God, I got a bad review on Yelp. It's almost like a mark of shame, And they're going, I don't even know who the person is, and it's killing my sales, and I don't know what to do. And I called Yelp, and they want me to advertise, and when I was advertising, the reviews would show up, and now that I'm not, they do. What, am I doing something wrong? They almost feel, it's weird how they flip it. It's like the sales reps make them feel like they did something wrong. And so I just don't want our listeners to feel alone if they're going through this.
Yeah. Well, side note on that really quickly. Yelp's own Yelp page, if you look up Yelp on Yelp and type in San Francisco, which is where they're headquartered, their own Yelp reviews have them at 2 or 2.5 stars. So as a company, they're not looking so great on their own website. Now, they also have thousands and thousands of filtered 1-star reviews. So if they weren't filtering all of that, their rating would be even lower, which is very ironic since the CEO of their company, Jeremy Stoppelman, has gone on interviews saying he would only go to a business with 3.5 stars or less out of desperation. So he's essentially telling people, don't use our website unless you're desperate.
I'm going to put a link to this real quick here because this is true. Devin, we'll put a link to this on the notes here, but it's yelp.com/biz, B-I-Z, /Yelp-San Francisco. That's yelp.com/biz/Yelp-San Francisco. They have 9,495 filtered reviews that you can't read. They've got 2-star. They have a 2-star rating. So Yelp on Yelp has a 2,000 or as a 2-star. That is that's impressive. You're blowing my mind right now. Continue. I'm just sorry. That was blowing my mind.
Yeah. So business owners, entrepreneurs, take heart. You're not the only one suffering at the hands of Yelp. Yelp is also suffering at the hands of Yelp.
What in the world?
Let's see. There's one person that I spoke with after the film was made who he is a dentist in South Carolina, I think, and he has worked extremely hard to build up his practice. And he keeps getting Yelp reviews from patients he has never seen. And anybody that is in the medical field, whether it's dentist, doctor, psychologist, they're bound by HIPAA laws not to give out any details, so they can't even really reply to these reviews.
True.
But he keeps getting these reviews from people he hasn't seen, and he told me that the things that they say are so nasty, and it's affected his dating life because he'll go on dates with people and they'll say, well, I was looking you up and I saw people saying these things about you. And he's like, it's been really frustrating for him. I feel badly for him on that. Let's see. There are some really good scenarios in the film, but I would just recommend people go to the film to see that. It's more that my editing is better than my speaking.
So you're saying that I just want to make sure I'm getting this. Are you saying? Because I believe this, but I just want to know if you believe this. Do you believe that it's impossible to improve your Yelp review score without paying them?
I believe so.
And that's based off of how many hours of research do you think went into this thing?
Oh, months and months and years. It was a long time coming, and a lot of reading, a lot of speaking with people, business owners, and not just business owners, but also people who help others with their online reviews. Everybody, it's kind of the known issue with Yelp is you can only get good reviews if you're paying them.
That is now okay. Now I want to ask you this: where'd you go to school at before producing this? Just to kind of, I want to establish your credibility for the listeners that don't know. Where did you go to school? What did you study?
My undergrad, I went to Biola, which is in Southern California, and got a degree in film production. And then I went up to UC Davis several years later to get my master's in education and teaching credential. So I got into teaching for quite a while, and I think that's where my mind always goes to research, and I question what I see, and that's how I enjoy teaching, was saying, okay, here's what someone is telling you, and it's up to you to find out whether that's true or not. And that's what brought me to this film.
Hey, well, I appreciate your time more than you could possibly know, and I encourage all the listeners out there, if you're needing some custom film production, go to prostfilms.com, PROST films.com, and if you've yet to see the movie The $1 Billion Bully, check it out tonight. How long is the film?
It's 88 minutes, so about an hour and a half of your time.
I'm telling you, once you watch it, you'll be enlightened. You'll somehow be able to mentally move on and say, you know what, I'm going to focus on Google reviews and Facebook reviews and maybe online video reviews, and then I'm not going to focus on that which I cannot control, which are the negative Yelp reviews. But again, Kaylie, thank you so much for being on the show.
You're welcome. Thank you again for having me. I appreciate it.
And now, without any further ado, let's end this show with a boom. Mr. Listener or Mrs. Listener, are you prepared to end the show with a boom? Are you prepared? Okay. I am prepared to end the show with a boom. But before I do that, let me encourage you to focus on what you can control. We know now we cannot remove the Yelp reviews or get our positive reviews to post unless we pay these people. We can't get the positive reviews to post unless we pay these people. Thus, I would encourage you to focus on gathering objective reviews from your real clients via Google and Facebook, and especially get video reviews on YouTube. It is so powerful when people see your real customers testifying on video about the quality of the services and products that you provide. Again, focus on what you can control. Do not be distracted by the things you cannot control. Don't worry about the weather. Don't worry about the family you were born into. And don't worry about Yelp. Focus on the things that you can control. And now, without any further ado, and with that in mind, here we go. 3, 2, 1, boom!
Hi, my name is Steven. I lead the team at Mod Scenes. We are a company that does church stage backdrops. Abby and the team at Thrive in about 4 months have helped us to get to #1 on Google for our keyword, which is awesome. It's been a huge help to us. It's helped us to get in touch with a lot of churches who are looking for our product and have a need, and we're able to serve them. It's been really great for our business. It's helped us to grow and to serve more people.
Hey, this is Marty Grisham with Advanced Commercial Systems, home of the Roof Nerds, and I work with the whole team, Clay Clark and the whole team here. I just wanted to share real quickly, and so it's affected me where I'm getting big, strong leads. I'm getting phone calls every week from the online marketing that they've built for me. And so I just want to give a big shout out to Jason, Clay, and the whole team.